With the 16th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Byron Murphy, defensive tackle, Texas.
All righty, as I said, you very often see a guy sitting there that makes all the sense in the world. They go right instead of the left turn. We all thought they were going to take Byron Murphy, defensive tackle, not an edge rusher. They go Byron Murphy. Now, that is somebody that was mocked to them quite often early as the mock drafts were going on, but you saw that start to dissipate. First blush reaction, Brock, start with you.
Well, Dave, you got what you wanted, man. You got to help and address your defense, and you were 31st in the league at stopping the run. And you listen to anybody that's covered Michigan over the years, where Mike Macdonald was, where his roots have been cultivated with the Harbaughs, you build a wall. That is the philosophy of Mike Macdonald and this defense. You build a wall, and that means you stop the run. And this dude right here is a 6 foot, 300-pound ball of freaking muscle. He ran 4.8 at the combine. He is a freak. Bruce Feldman, my buddy, put him in his freaks list. There wasn't enough weight in the Texas weight room to handle his power cleans and his squats. He is a dynamic dude right in the middle of the defensive line. So, you know, John Schneider's going to get up there, and he's going to say this confidently. We got the #1 defensive guy on our board, and we got him at 16 in this draft.
Yeah, you're watching work here, and we're just looking at some highlights, and the strength definitely shows up. 4.87. I'll tell you what, for 300-plus pounds, that's hauling. That dude. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Brock. I think that it all starts up front, and we saw what I think it was Matt Abuike, Bob, that we were looking at last year that had double-digit sacks.
Yeah, from the interior.
Yeah, from the inside. So, you know, maybe him or Leonard Williams, but you have those two guys in there. Brock, I remember you telling the story. I can't remember. I think one of the guys' last names was Stroud, the two big D tackles that Jacksonville had.
Henderson and Stroud.
Henderson and Stroud. And I remember you telling me that when you were in Indy that you would have to rip up like 60% of your run plays and just go, we can't run these plays.
Not even going to try.
Because of those two defensive tackles. You just can't move them out of there, right?
You're looking at the war room and their hugs, and you know this. You know exactly. We've done this for a long time, and we know this for a fact that last year when they picked Witherspoon, that was our guy. He's the #1 corner. When they picked Jackson Smith and Jigba, he's the #1 receiver because they had their choice. And today, I think Latu was not an option for him. I will say that pretty confidently. I don't want to say that as a fact with a source, but I'm pretty confident. And Bump, they just got their #1 defensive guy on their board with the 16th pick in the draft.
Should it have been their #1 defensive guy? Should he have been?
Yeah, if they're going to go defense, that's where I would have went. And he's been mocked.
Should we get the Vikings pick here, or do we want to keep going?
Who cares?
All right, let's keep going.
All right, so
the Vikings pick is in. We'll tell you who it is here in a moment.
First reaction.
Minnesota Vikings select Dallas Turner, linebacker, Alabama.
All right, Dallas
Am
Turner.
I back? Am I ready?
You're ready.
Okay.
There you go. Dallas Turner going to the Vikings with #17.
First reaction, I won if I'll tell him. Second reaction, I understand what the heck's going on here. Jay Reed has 1 more year left on his contract. You sign Leonard Williams. Behind Jay Reed, you got Jonathan Hankins. Most of y'all don't know who he is. You got Cam Young, who struggled to get on the football field for a reason. Maybe he wasn't ready yet. Maybe he's developing. Nonetheless, you get some depth at that position. Everyone's looking for Chris Jones. Everyone's looking for Aaron Donald. Everyone's looking for Kobe Turner. Kobe Turner's taking over for Aaron Donald over there with the Los Angeles Rams. This all makes sense. When you are the worst team against the run in the NFL, the worst team or one of the worst teams against the run in the NFL, you got to find these guys. Dave, what's the best? How do defensive linemen make your job easier as a linebacker?
Just by having huge hindquarters. I look up there and see that, and I love it. I love that with Cortez Kennedy, and he was such a problem. He was an extra meeting guy. I mean, especially in 1992 when he was the defensive MVP. But I mean, he was to the point where I would alter rules to the defense. Like they would have me in certain formations, we want to slant left or slant right, and I would go wherever Cortez wanted. And I came to the sidelines one time. The coordinator, Tom Catlin's like, why'd you slant him left on that one? I go, because Cortez wanted to go left. And he goes, okay. There goes the game plan. I mean, those guys are it's so disruptive. And if they're quick off the ball and just, that's what you see from Leonard Williams. They can't move him.
Yeah.
And so if you have two of those guys.
All of that makes sense, but I was hoping you would say they keep you clean so you can make those tackles.
Oh, yeah.
They're taking on the double teams. They're clogging the gaps up. They're okay with doing a job that isn't sexy. So what does that do? That allows your Jerome Baker, who's on a 1-year deal, your Dotson, who's on a 1-year deal, the opportunity to make those plays. So it all makes sense. Not the pick that I wanted, but welcome to the Northwest. It makes complete sense, and I'm happy for that.
You know, I just want to say one thing, though. I need to see linebackers take on blocks this year. Okay, I missed that. I missed that part. Maybe that's why I left it behind.
Let's also look at this, guys. I think a little tell right here. So you said after the Seahawks, who was supposed to pick? Jacksonville?
It was supposed to be Jacksonville. The Minnesota Vikings moving to that spot.
So they make a trade with him. I guarantee you that phone was ringing in that other room. And the Minnesota Vikings would have loved to trade it with the Seattle Seahawks at, number 16 and make the same pick so they could go get their guy. And fortunately, whatever, if you wanted to trade down and more picks, unfortunately for you, Byron Murphy's grade was that good for Seattle to turn down those trade overtures that now people were calling that room, because if a trade followed you, I am sure they were sniffing around and saying the same thing to John, and he just ultimately looked at that board and they showed the war room. He's high-fiving guys, and he's like, can't do it. You know, I can't trade down. All these years I've traded down. I don't have a second-round pick. I'd love to trade down. But you know what? The value of that guy right now on our board, what John has said to you two for the last 2 months, the way that they grade, the way they evaluate, I am sure Byron Murphy on that board had a grade where, like, can't do it, man. I cannot trade. Even though this phone is ringing, I'm not answering, and we are going to take a defensive tackle, the top D tackle in this draft.
So did that pick bump tell you that their philosophy of going for the best player available is not BS?
No, that means that was their best player available. My best player available was Troy Fautano, you know.
But their philosophy.
You know, their philosophy, I think it works and it sticks for them. Again, it makes complete sense. You got a defensive head coach over here. And there's so much newness to this staff, right? Which side of the ball are they going to attack? It's natural to think that because Mike McDonald's here, he had one of the best defenses in the land with the Baltimore Ravens, that he's going to address that defense and make it exactly what it is. That's why we've seen some of the additions. I thought eventually they shift over to the offense when it comes to the draft and protect their quarterback, because I feel like they have the quarterback of the future in Sam Howell, or they think is the quarterback of the future. We're going to give an opportunity if Geno doesn't work out. What can you do to ensure their success? You make sure they're protected. That offensive line has been shaky, but so has that defensive line and defense as a whole.
Dave, you asked a great question. I mean, I think that's a very poignant question. What was the issue last year?
On defense?
Yeah. I mean, the issue, was it offense or defense?
It was definitely defense.
Yes.
And, you know, the way everybody was playing, I get kind of hung up on the one Steeler run where it was like 6 missed tackles. And you saw that like 6 guys were missing tackles. The other 5 were jogging, you know, and so what that indicates to me is that it's not clear what the assignments are. You can't play that way, not knowing, you know, everything just very instinctively. And I feel like that's what, you know, McDonald is going to bring to this defense. That's going to be his system. But yeah, that was the biggest problem, was that you see guys hesitating. It made players into worse players. You know, you look at like Jamal Adams, and you know, Quandre Diggs is another one. I mean, Quandre deteriorated quite a bit there. I mean, he was a Pro Bowler. And yeah, nobody knew exactly what their assignments were. I just pictured like everybody on defense running around with a big question mark above their head. It's just following them wherever they go, because it just wasn't clear. And I don't think he used the athletes that he had to their best ability. Somehow Devin Witherspoon found out a way to make just plays all over the place. And that's one of the other reasons why I like him so much, because that defense was broken.